All right, Dr. Goldberg and Eric Vickery on our monthly fireside chat here in July. And you had sent me the email and you said, hey, listen, with all clients, we've been talking about recession proofing our practices, right? I mean, that's been a heavy topic.
As I sigh, because so I have the advantage of age. Sometimes that there is an advantage.
You've been through this before, is what you're saying.
So I've been through things maybe like it before, but not quite the way I think this is playing out.
Yeah.
So I started practice in the late 70s. So when they talk about the Carter era, inflation, recession, I started my practice through that. I built my first practice in 1980, like right in the midst of it all. 22% interest.
Wow.
Was, yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
And then, of course, several recessions afterwards. And then the Great Recession of 27 to 29. And then, pandemic. Of course, the pandemic sort of is the backdrop upon which we now find ourselves. So we haven't even quite recovered from that. And now we're talking about first inflation, right? So it was what, 8.5, 8.6 last month.
Yeah.
Official number haven't come out. And it's funny because I'm giving my group a webinar on Friday. This Friday? No, next Friday.
Okay.
And the title is, Are You Prepared for June 28th?
June 28th.
July 28th.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So July 28th, there's going to be an announcement. Now, it's already being bandied about a little bit in the news and whatnot. We're in a recession.
Yep.
It's official.
Yep.
The official announcement will occur on July 28th.
Really?
Yeah.
And where do you get that? Where do you see that?
Oh, so the definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth.
Okay.
And it was negative the first quarter. The official numbers don't come out until July 28th. And I don't know if that's from the Office of Management and Budget or it's from the Fed. It's probably the Office of Management and Budget. They get all the numbers and then they sort of reconcile them. So the original first numbers you hear about are always wrong. And that's true for inflation. It's true for unemployment. It's true for all the government numbers. When you first hear them are wrong. They have to be adjusted, and the adjusted numbers are always worse.
Yep.
So it's
here. We basically June 30th was the end of the second quarter.
So right.
Yeah.
June 30th was the end of the second quarter. The official number comes out about a month later.
I got you. Okay.
And it'll be official. We're in a recession.
Yeah.
And it's been, again, it's not good news for the party in power. It's, really bad news for the party in power usually.
Yeah.
But we can't control that. What we can help our clients control is what's going on between the four walls of their offices.
Yeah.
And I think that's what
we've been talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm thinking of all of the things that I possibly can, because I can, and I am not a pessimistic, I'm a glass half full guy, but I'm concerned.
Yeah.
hope is not a strategy. I hope for the best, but I prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
And if the worst happens, I live through it. I know whatever it's going to be limited.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is I need to live through it.
Yeah.
I need to come out the other end.
That's right.
In good shape. And that's what's hard now because we're just coming off the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we have this employment issue. I mean, I don't know, how many of your clients are looking for people in their offices?
Yep.
So you're getting like this, it's a perfect storm, really. You have, so the pandemic was an interesting phenomenon. It gave many patients the perception that dentistry is optional.
Because they didn't go for 4 months.
So they didn't go. And some of them didn't go for 2 years.
They still haven't been back.
Right. And you know what? They didn't die. Oh my God. So the challenge that a general practice now has is, how do you get these people to come back? Mm-hmm. And how do you convince them that they don't need to, that they have to come back in 3, 4, 6, whatever your recall interval is? Because now in their mind, it's 2 years. I made it 2 years.
I go every 2 years.
Right. I made it 2 years. Nothing happened. I'm going to go 2 years. And it's great because now I have all this inflation and recession. I don't have to spend the additional money.
Yeah.
So you're combating several layers of patient mindset that I think is really challenging. And we had talked also about communication.
Yeah.
So you almost have to start from scratch,
rebuilding with those patients,
rebuilding meaningful value.
Yeah. And safety and concern about their well-being, and make sure they're connecting the dots. And just because you don't feel something doesn't mean it's not a problem. I posted on my social media recently, no pain, no problem, no pay. This is the perception they have. I don't have any pain. Why would I have a problem? I'm not paying for anything. I'm going to cancel that appointment. I don't need to go in for a clean. It's just a cleaning. And we haven't planted the seed of value to help them diagnose, even there's no feeling. Yeah.
So, that's my bit. So my pet peeve is the word cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just so demeans what it is that's being done.
Yeah.
And, oh my God. I mean, you might as well go into a car wash. I mean, it just, and in our office, so in our practice, so my practice before it was sold, had one of the highest hygiene conversion rates.
Yeah.
In the city. Shine does all this stuff. They now have a company called Jarvis Analytics, and they basically plug into all the Dentrix programs, and they can see what's going on in your office. And so I think our hygiene efficiency rate was 84%.
Mm-hmm.
80% is ideal.
Wow. Yeah. Anything over 80%. Yeah.
And so we were 84%. We were the highest that they had identified in Manhattan, at least.
Wow.
So I'm very proud of that. And I worked hard at it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the communication was building value of what happened during that hygiene visit. And we called it a hygiene visit. I was big at not calling it a cleaning. Patients call up, I need a cleaning. It's like, that's right, go to the car wash. So, and I write blogs for, there's a company called Oral DNA. I don't know if
you're
familiar.
Yeah.
So I was one of their, if not their biggest client before I sold.
Yeah.
And so I'm very friendly with them. I write a blog for their newsletter.
Yeah.
I just think it's so important. And it's a top-down thing. You know, you get the hygienists are all on board with this kind of thing. And oftentimes it's the doctor who, you know, sort of
skip the level.
And in a general, you know it, in a general dental practice, a restorative dental practice is hygiene driven.
Well, it's the bread and butter of the practice. You got to have it. Absolutely.
Right. So how do you encourage it? You know, if you're not doing hygiene, if your hygiene isn't 25% of your overall production, you have to rely significantly more on new patient flow.
And I don't want to talk KPIs for a real quick second, because I want to just clarify something, because I've had practices have phenomenal doctors producing. Their hygiene department is really good, but they're not at that 25% level. So what I would tell you is, look, you got to be seeing the right number of patients in hygiene. Your production might not be equal to the level of doctor's production, because he's doing so many full mouth cases that it's going to drive that hygiene percentage below 25%. So don't get caught up too much on that. But for the average practice, the $1 million model, absolutely. But typically each hygienist seeing 110 patients a month, 4 to 8 days a week. That's about where you want to be. And that's going to be what you're looking at. Number of patients seen versus open time, the production will show up. So yeah.
Except that now, sometimes that hygienist is costing you way more money.
What is that production per patient and that production per hour? Yes.
So, and how do you, especially in an insurance focused model, how do you go ahead? Don't, but that's, how do you,
harder.
Right.
Yeah.
Harder. So it's even more important, I guess, in an insurance focused model to, because that's the challenge. So, so everybody wants to, I don't know if you've seen it. There's all kinds of programs now trying to teach doctors how to move from a insurance focused model to a fee for service model.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a function of the fact that costs have gone up so much. So it's eating away at the profitability, because you're not in control of your fee schedule. The insurance company's in control of your fee schedule. And so how do you move forward with that? And I would say that, unfortunately, once that recession label comes on, that makes the job of moving from insurance to fee for service exponentially more difficult.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would venture to say for most dentists, it's probably not the right time to do that.
Could be too late. We have insulators we look at to make sure that that's in place in the right timing, and that there's enough things protecting you from any sort of atrophy that may occur. So we have some guidelines to make sure it's happening. I will say that I want to clarify some numbers too. Fee for service. Sometimes doctors get that mistaken, meaning my patient's got to pay me and the insurance reimburses them, which that's how I look at fee for service. But what we're talking about is out of network. Being out of network, which means your patient probably isn't paying much different, if anything at all, what they're paying when you're in network. The insurance is still paying you. Patient doesn't have to pay too much different. It's how you deliver that message in a recession, especially to make sure that the atrophy doesn't kick you in the butt, and only handle certain or insurances at a time, whether it be number of patients you have in network, or we don't want to, obviously you're going to take on 100% of your practice now and resign for everybody all at once. You're going to bite-sized piece it. There's a proper way to do this, and it takes time. And so if you do it right, I think you can do it in any economy. If all the stars align. What you wouldn't want to do is go, yeah, I'm sick of this insurance, and you send out a letter, and you're gonna be in trouble. Yeah.
So the idea is you build value beforehand.
That's right. Yeah.
You have to lay the foundation.
You'll like my analogy I use with doctors. I'll say, look, your patient is your bride. My question to you is, does she marry you for the money? So if you've got value in relationship and there's rapport there, and all the things are meant to create a healthy marriage, then that financial change won't create a problem. But if you're solely built on being cheap and inexpensive, and that's how you're perceived, and she married you for the money type thing, or he married you for the money, whatever it may be, you're going to run into some bigger problems, and you got to really handle it properly, and you got to take time and have those conversations with your patients properly. So absolutely.
I love the analogy, and let's expand on it, because sometimes when you live with somebody for a while, you get used to it and you start taking things for granted. So the people that even came to you at first, not for the money, but for the love, may not necessarily have that same value of love now. And the grass may start looking greener, and they may start wandering, right? So how do you prevent the 7-year itch?
Oh, that's good. I like it. I'm gonna steal it. So we have been talking about this recession proofing your practice by email, and it came up. How do we maintain not only our patients, how do they stay loyal, but also how do you get them to start sending you more patients? How do we create more raving fans, I guess you'd say? So what was your thought on that?
So first of all, like I love looking outside of dentistry for answers. Somehow I think there are people that are able to do things faster, quicker outside of dentistry than inside of dentistry. We're a little bit too inbred. So, airlines and hotels, the hospitality industry, even restaurants, are great at promoting loyalty. So, whether or not it's, so I don't know, I used to fly a lot, like you, and stay in hotels a lot. And I had status with an airlines. I had status with several hotel companies, and in restaurants. And I would prefer using them whenever possible, because I got benefits from it. So from a rewards program, I'm saying, well, why don't we do something similar? So reward people who are coming back, incentivize them to come back, to be what we would consider 5-star patients. And I think we may have discussed this at one point. One of the missing ingredient in a 5-star patient, so most patients are 4 stars if they're there for a while. The missing ingredient is, do they refer other patients? So I'm thinking, what's the average cost of new patient acquisition in a practice? So I don't know. You have an idea?
Yeah. So if you take all of your expenses and divide it by the number of patients you see, right? That's what we're talking about. What's the cost to market to get them in? 0 on a referral, to you're spending $1,000 a month on your website to get at least 4 a month. If you're not getting at least 4, that's a problem. And you figure all that out. So I've seen a number of, like, you want to be below $55 on all of that together, which is very low. And I've told offices, look, as long as I can stay below, if I'm just looking at internet, if I can just stay below $250 per acquisition, that would be acceptable to me, because 10 times the investment would be a minimum of a $2,500 treatment plan. So somewhere between $55 and $250, depending on how efficient you are at converting and how many calls you're getting and how well your marketing's working.
Interesting. So I would have actually, I have a little bit of a skewed view of things, having practiced in Manhattan. So, I would think cost of acquisition in Manhattan is probably quadruple that or so. And which is fine, because my mentor, Dan Kennedy says, the line is, he who can pay the most to acquire a new customer wins. Now, I don't think that's not, I could argue with him about that. I would modify it a little bit to say he who can afford to pay the most to acquire a new customer or patient wins. I don't think anybody needs to get a badge for spending more money than they absolutely have to. That's part of my heritage. You don't spend more than you absolutely have
to. You're killing me right now.
I'm sorry.
That's awesome.
So let's say it's $250, right? Let's say your lifetime patient value is what, $3,500 maybe?
Again, I've seen variations on this. When I've seen that 3,500 to 4,500 for them, but when you look at what they send to you, when they start sending you, that's a whole nother. Is it just them, or are we talking about what they bring to your practice, right?
Right. So I'm thinking, let's say it's $250 on a lifetime value of $3,500 to $4,500.
All right, perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
I would deal with that. I mean, Warren Buffett would make that investment.
So you're telling me if I give you $250, you're going to give me $4,000. Okay.
Okay, I'll take that. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Why not make that a requirement for a loyalty program and say, okay, I'll give you the loyalty program and you'll get all these benefits, one of which will be maybe a free hygiene visit every couple of years. What does that cost you? So I don't know. I'm just sort of working this out. I don't know the legality. I mean, there's obviously some legal issues involved.
So I think it'd be by state, because you start getting into that word of bribery.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can't pay somebody.
Can't bribe. They call it bribery, but you can't pay someone for doing something. Yeah.
Right. Look, it's interesting. I once had a patient who was part of a company called Flying Tigers. So the Flying Tigers was an Air Force, a group of pilots in China. And anyway, they came back from China after World War II, I guess, and they formed this company called Flying Tigers. It was a precursor to FedEx.
Okay, got it.
And they were bought out. But anyway, this guy had this insurance from Flying Tigers. So it's sort of like a group of really smart pilots and mechanics and whatnot. Their insurance company had a provision that they would pay 100% of preventive services, including hygiene visits, if you didn't go to the dentist twice a year and have hygiene visits twice a year, you only got 50% reimbursement on your restorative treatment. If you went on a regular basis, they paid 100%. It was like, oh my God, how smart is that?
Yeah, there's some Delta dental plans like that, Progressive, where they increase the benefits every year. Yeah.
Contingent upon compliance.
Hygiene visits. Yeah. So they start out 70% year one. Now, I don't think that it affects restorative. They're just 70% of preventive services are, hygiene's covered at 70% year two. If you go, I think you have to go once a year, but perception is 2, and then 80, then 90, and 100. But you lose your 100%. You go back to 70 if you miss 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, I just think from a professional standpoint, we should do whatever we can to encourage people to behave in their own best interest.
Yeah.
And I don't, was it Sunstein and Cass Sunstein, the book Nudge. Sunstein and Thaler and Sunstein. Nudge, Great book. It's how to encourage people to do the right thing.
Sure.
There was pre-Obamacare,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how you ask people certain questions
Yeah.
can make all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah. You lead someone by asking questions. Yeah. You
Right.
control the conversation by asking questions. Yeah.
Right. So, it's so organ donation went up precipitously when they basically assumed that you're going to donate your organs and you have to opt out if you don't want to,
Yeah, because people didn't opt out.
because people don't opt out.
They feel guilty opting out.
Right. So, I mean, these guys are psychologists and they're writing a book on economics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
Daniel Kahneman, right?
Yeah.
Who won the Nobel Prize for economics, but he's a psychologist. So he's talking about, that's the real challenge right now. I think it's great for our clients to understand the psychology behind what's going on right now. So our patients are going into survive, fight or flight mode.
Mm.
All right. They're being hit by all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Still the health stuff from the pandemic and the inflation and recession and, politics and, world, issues. Somehow we need to make their dental care top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
on the forefront.
That's a challenge right now. It means communicating more effectively and in different ways than you might have communicated before. So you can't rely on one method of communication. So it's not just what happens in the office. It's not the text or emails that they get and confirming. It's not just a newsletter. It's not just your website. It's a whole bunch of things, and hopefully new things, so that people look at things and go, oh, that's new. Let me open that up.
Yeah. Yeah. They're paying attention more. Opportunities pop up, especially now. I think people look for things to save, and I think people are so familiar with a loyalty. I mean, I know if I go buy 10 cups of coffee or whatever, I'm going to get something free. At the same place, punch card or whatever. I know that if, Abby flies free everywhere I go with a certain airline, so I'm going to keep racking up miles there because I want to maintain that status. That's huge value for us. We travel a lot. So if I go somewhere, she can just go with me if she wants, so I agree. So what's your thought on a loyalty program? What are you thinking?
I don't know. I actually have a call in
Mm-hmm.
to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I need to figure out what the legality,
Yeah.
the legal issues are. It starts with just appreciating people.
Yes. So that's the one thing. Let me say this. You can give anybody you want a credit for anything, right? You can do that. But I think the trick is you just can't tell them beforehand you're going to do it if they jump through a hoop. That's the leak. So let me explain. So what I can't say is, hey, Ricky Bobby, this is some states, not all states, by the way, but if there's a no bribery clause in your state, you can't do this. You can't say, hey, Ricky Bobby, for every new patient you send us, we give you a $25 Amazon gift card, or we give you $25 off at your account. That would be considered bribery, and you can't do that. Now, some states you can. It's amazing the referrals they get. Amazing. I mean, in Washington, they give $25 Amazon gift cards for every new patient comes through, and it's just Pavlov's dogs. They just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. So if in your state there is no bribery, my guess, and you can look into this further, my guess is a loyalty program would work, because you could say, hey, look, if you maintain your hygiene visits, here's what we're going to do for you. Okay. Now, Denvantage, my friends at Denvantage, I've already emailed them to see if we can get an answer on this too live while we're here. So they do in-office membership plans. Clear would be another company out there as well. But I've known Ted Morgan, Dave Peer, Dan Stanke, Kevin Devine, dentists up in Maine for decades now, and they run Denvantage. And so what they do inside of Denvantage, you pay your monthly fee for your membership plan. And as long as you keep your appointment in hygiene, you then qualify for the 15% off of your doctor services. As long as you maintain that hygiene status, you get that. So you're in a membership plan creating loyalty. So you reschedule your hygiene visit, it's voided for 6 months. So, then you're like, oh, this patient's got a ton of work to do. They're not going to move through it for 6 months. So I think there's got to be some give and take, but you set that bar early on when you set them up to let them know this is the expectation so that they maintain that. I mean, the whole reason they're in the membership plan is for the savings. They want the savings. They have no insurance. They're wanting to get through. Now, what you're adding to it is for people who don't even have insurance, they could also be in this. If you have insurance, you can also be in the loyalty program. We want to keep these people who are already, does my insurance cover it? Does my insurance cover it? They're already in that realm. And we're going to add something to that, whether that maybe is a courtesy on their account to help cover co-pays, or it's something else, right? This is what your mind is trying to say. Can we do this, right?
So my mind is actually focused on that and on new patient generation.
And if you send someone.
And you don't even have to send them.
Yeah. Oh, do a review. You were talking about doing a review or something.
No, forget reviews. Yeah. Give us the person's email address.
Oh, okay. Contact information or something.
Give us the contact information. We'll do all the work.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't know. I'm thinking about all of this because I understand how challenging the times can be, and challenging times need new solutions.
Ideas. Yeah. Hey, email me and CC your friends on an email. We'll have their email addresses, and we'll just reach out to all of them, and we'll connect with them and let them know because you sent them, they'll have X offered to us. That way it's just a friendly thing, and you're just wanting to extend some savings to them. It's a gift you're giving them by emailing them. They're going to get something by you sending us to them.
One of the things that happens during recession is unemployment goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And when unemployment goes up, people lose their benefits.
Yeah.
So what you're doing in following up in your thread, if you say to your patients, hey, listen, we know that people are hurting you now,
mm-hmm.
and we don't want that to impact their health. So let us know who to reach, and we'll reach out to these people and offer them our membership program.
There you go. Yeah, we have Denvantage set aside for you for only $30 a month. And you put that, oh my gosh, $30 a month. And they're going, wow, you mean I'm going to get all my hygiene visits covered twice a year for $30 a month? I can do that, Yeah. So you got to make it easy. That's the whole friction thing that we talked about before. You've got to find ways to remove friction. And now you got to be more creative than ever without sacrificing quality, while still being able to pay top dollar for your employees. All of this. So
let's talk a little bit about that. Because I've had a bunch of clients have to hire new hygienists at
mm-hmm.
significantly higher
mm-hmm.
salaries. Some of them, and I think appropriately so, actually had to raise the existing salaries
mm-hmm.
to
at or above who they're bringing on. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So there's been a tremendous wage inflation
mm-hmm.
in dental practices.
I think in almost, as I'm listening, what's going on, I mean, Chick-fil-A is hiring for what, $18 an hour or $20 an hour or whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I would hire a Chick-fil-A employee like that.
Me too. Where you been working? Oh, great.
Because they did all the training for you.
Customer service is done. Here we go. You understand the importance of it.
Exactly.
Absolutely agree. flying through the airport the other day and I saw a Chick-fil-A bag and I was like, where'd you get that? It was a whole other wing. I was like, dang it, there's a McDonald's here and that's it. Oh man. The kids were like, McDonald's, we never eat junk food. I was like, I could go for a Chick-fil-A though.
Yeah, no, it's
People will go out of their way to go eat there.
So that's a built-in loyalty program, right?
Yeah.
Customer service and promoting it.
Yeah.
I mean, really promoting. I had a consult with a client this morning, and we're talking about, he just moved into a new office. And it's a great opportunity when you move into a new office to sort of tweak the culture a little bit. Say, well, you know, we were doing things this way in the old place and this is new and we can do some new things. So we're talking about tweaking their culture. And she said to me, how do we put into words always, I think I wrote it down, that it's not, we don't give A's for effort. For us, it's about outcomes.
Results.
Yeah, it's about results. So, you know, so I said, I'm like, our A's are for 5 stars, right? What is 5? So we want 5-star patients. We want to give 5-star service.
Yeah.
We want to get 5-star reviews. And we give 5-star outcomes.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at any phenomenal company, pick a company, look at them, and they're amazing for a couple of reasons. And typically you're going to find that they create amazing experiences for their customers. It's that simple. And if you got people who aren't willing to make the experience amazing, you're going to struggle more, especially in times like this.
Right. And they're not going to be as attached to you as, I mean,
true. They marry you for the money. Yeah, true.
Or for the looks.
And the looks are fading, man.
And the looks are fading.
I'm getting older. I'm losing it. Not that I ever had the looks before, but it's only getting worse. So let me ask you this. I think a membership plan combined with a loyalty plan is a great recession proofing tool. If you're going to lose hey, I can't come in. I lost my insurance. Well, hold on. Let me talk to you about that. And now we're going to get some results because I'm going to be willing on the phone to not only save that appointment, but save that patient. And then they're going to spread the word too. Hey, you have a lot of people who are probably thinking the same as you are right now. I lost my insurance, can't leave the office. Please, here's my email address. I want you to send my email address to all the people you work with and have them reach out to me and let them know what you just signed up for. This is at the end of saving that person. It's not just, oh, okay, yeah, okay, all right, let us know, have a nice life. Let us know when you come back. You know, it can't work that way. You got to figure out how to remove the friction, figure out how to work with them. And so your verbal skills and your willingness become key right here. The effort thing you're talking about, you know, am I willing to engage? Engagement is key. And then once I solve this, it's like, hey, you probably have a lot of birds of a feather flock together. Probably have a lot of other people just like this. And I love your idea. Here's my email address. I want you to CC me, send it out to everybody. Let them know you're getting them a special offer. You look great in this, Ricky Bobby. Send it out to all your friends. Here's what it can say. Boom. What do you think? Ask them a question. Will you do that for them? Not for me. Will you do that for them? And then you get going. I think that'd be amazing. Gosh, such a good idea. I love it. You know, we're on to something in the mastermind here.
So yeah, and I love, you know, your approach of helping other people, because that's why most dentists became dentists. Yeah. And you know, they've done who was it? So I guess it's Cialdini. You know, Robert Cialdini.
Was that the 6 laws of influence or something?
Yeah, I think it's 7 now. It's 7 now.
Laws of influence.
Yeah,
okay.
He's increased it. So
yeah. I have it saved to read. It's actually a link on my phone. I need to read it. I just haven't got to it yet.
Oh, you need to read it.
So good, huh? I know I've heard great things about it. I want to read it.
So, bad. You know, good to great.
Yeah.
Influence. I'm trying to think about the other really, the 5 dysfunctions of the team.
Patrick Lencioni, good
Yeah.
one.
I think those were 3 of the better books that
So you're talking about Good to Great, 5 Dysfunctions of the Team, and
Influence
by Cialdini. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Those, and Nudge is I love reading. So
I know I love those kinds of books. Vacation is getting away, man. I'm telling you, I gotta mess up my reading plan. I take notes when I read, and I just can't just read anywhere. I've got to be like ready to read. So I got to get back into the swing of things for sure.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I really didn't like my e-reader. I'm reading this book now called Plan. I mean, I like the physical book, and I like to rabbit ear it, underline, write notes, go, and this way I can go back to it. Because I mean, a really great book is ageless.
Well, and then I want to be able to go back through it, but I don't want to read the whole book again. So what I do is I put it in my notes. Have you ever heard of Joseph Murphy? This is like pre-Zig Ziglar. This is like pre Think and Grow Rich. This is before Napoleon Hill. Joseph Murphy, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And so I'm reading it right now. It's really basic right now, but I haven't even started chapter 2 yet. I'm 30 pages in. So I picked it up and I'm reading it, but I'm taking notes as I go. And it's the, basic, speak to your subconscious, conscious to subconscious. You just explained the difference right now, but I like fast forward. I was looking through some things when I was picking it up. I was like, I think I need to grab this. I don't know if you've heard that one before.
So no, but Psycho-Cybernetics, which is Maltz, was a great book in that regard.
Okay.
I mean, it's also about self-talk and whatnot.
Yeah. Self-talk and the power of persuasion. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personal persuasion.
Yep. What your mind can envision.
Ultimately achieve. Yep.
That's Zig Ziglar, right?
Did you know Walter Haley?
No. So it's interesting. I didn't know Walter.
Okay.
I chanced on this is back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I happened onto a success lecture by a guy by the name of Foster Hibbard, Hibbard. He's passed on. And he was an accolade of sort of all these original Napoleon
bringing it
Hill.
Together. Yep.
So he knew Napoleon Hill.
Wow.
And talked about this stuff, this stuff. And I bought his cassettes.
Yep.
And the bonus was a set of cassettes from Dan Kennedy.
Oh, loyalty program. Look at that. You got a bonus.
And so this is a crazy story. So you fast forward, it's 2006. And Tom Oren is having one of these big extravaganzas in Boston. I'll take any excuse to go back up to Boston. I lived in Boston when I went to dental school, right?
Yeah.
I love Boston. Don't want to live there, but I love Boston. And so I said, you know what? So he's throwing this big extravagance. Who's one of the speakers?
Dan
Kennedy.
Yeah.
Now I'm listening to this guy for decades on tapes. I mean, the tapes were worn through already. And the cars weren't coming with cassette tape players anymore. So I play them in my cars.
Yeah.
So I still have a cassette player just so that
for that reason. Yeah.
So anyway, I went there just to hear Dan. And as it turns out, I joined he was starting this program called dentistry, but he had just been diagnosed as with diabetes. So he got together with his dentist who practiced in Richmond. Dan lives in Cleveland, but his dentist was in Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, wow.
That's how rich people think. I'll go where. I was
Yeah.
the beneficiary of that.
Yeah.
People used to come to me from all over the world.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to meet his dentist. So I joined this program. I think it was stupid expensive. It was like $45,000.
Wow.
Joined the program. Program didn't work out that well because they didn't get enough people. So it was based on, we need to sign up 100 people. They only signed up 55 or 50. And so they couldn't launch their nationwide campaign to promote dentistry for diabetics.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got to meet Dan.
Yeah.
I've had breakfast a couple of times with Dan. And his dentist is now my coach. So Charlie Martin, I don't know if you've ever heard of Charlie. Charlie's a great guy.
Awesome.
So Charlie's a really good friend. And I still consider him my coach.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I love that those guys, Walter and all, Walter Haley bringing this to dentistry. He just brought all of those things that you're talking about. He talked about auto university, putting your tapes in your car back then, learning all these things. But that's where, look, without striving for growth, was it 1% every day is 37% growth annually? So you got to be working on who you are. You got to be working on who you are. And
every day.
I'm shocked. Sometimes I talk about these books with other leaders, dentists, and they've never heard of them. They don't read them. They don't dive into it, which now I got to bring it to you. Then I will do that, so my Cliff Notes are available or whatever, but you got to be reading, you got to be pouring into yourself for sure. Yeah. Another way to recession proof your practice is to be strong as a leader.
I'm still, I love learning. And, and you know what, that's one of the advantages that most dentists have. Most dentists I know, the successful ones, are all CE junkies.
They're CE, they're focused on CE for sure. Yeah.
But the wrong CE.
Clinical or basic.
Right. Yeah. They're totally focused. And I have this with, so I'm a member of all these organizations. I'm a fellow of the American Academy of Oral Systemic Health. I'm active in the American Academy of Dental Sleep Medicine. Enough with, it's fine. Teach the clinical stuff.
Yep.
If you can't implement it into your practice, what good is it to the public?
Yeah.
If you're looking to help people, if there's no money, there's no mission.
Well, they're not, just because you know how to do it doesn't mean the patient's signing up for it. And in fact, Carnegie, another one of these, said the foundation. So where does success come from? Well, the foundation is 15% of your success comes from your skill set. How good are you at what you do? That's only 15%. The other 85% is how good are you at communicating to people, your skill set, your people skills. And so we go to all this CE for clinical, and yet that's not going to change your practice. It's going to change here. It's going to change your confidence, that sort of thing. But you got to focus on training for how to improve your ability to convince people that you can do it.
So what people do, I don't think appreciate is it's a learnable skill.
Yeah. That's why I keep this book right here to remind me all the time. I don't know if it's going to show up. It's sitting right here. Because I'm constantly working on how I work with people. If you don't know how you work with people, emotional intelligence can be learned. It can be expanded. IQ, not so much, but EQ, absolutely. This has been good. All right.
Always.
We've given them enough. We'll wrap it up here. Our fireside chat for July, Dr. Michael Golberg and Eric Vickery with All Star Dental Academy. We'll see you guys in August.